The succession is something that's been known and planned for, and so in the immediate term, there's unlikely to be any disruption in the relationship with the United States and the broader region based on the transition itself. But with any transition, there are questions. And King Abdullah was a very central figure in U.S.-Saudi relations and was a very central figure in our strategy in the broader Middle East. And in recent years, the kingdom had taken a decisive turn in its posture with regard to Syria, its concerns about Iran, and had been a little bit more activist about keeping these threats out of the kingdom itself. And now that we have turmoil boiling over in Yemen, I guess the questions are, in the immediate term, how can the world leaders coordinate with the kingdom if they're in a period of mourning, or will operational issues continue apace?
Yeah, in fact, in terms of the geopolitical issues going on right now, I mean, the most immediate one is what has happened in Yemen with the president stepping down, and he was a key ally to the U.S. in terms of fighting al-Qaeda. So how does this play out from Saudi Arabia's point of view?
Well, from Saudi Arabia's point of view, they have taken a very strong posture pushing back on Shiite rebels in other geographies, and that would seem to be a concern to them on the peninsula and in Yemen itself. It seems to be the Shiite rebels who are pushing the more cooperative government aside in this case. And so there's a real question of, would the new king and the cabinet that was formed relatively recently take a firm position in trying to shape developments on the peninsula? The United States had active operations there that were counterterrorism operations, and the question now is, do we have a permissive environment to continue at all, or do we need to be contemplating evacuations?
So, Stephen, we've talked about Yemen. I want to ask you about this. You know, especially in that part of the world, oil is not just money, oil is power. The succession, how does it change the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran now, in your view?
Well, the change in oil prices, of course, did have a major geostrategic impact. It's had impact on countries outside the Middle East, like Russia, who do have influence in the Middle East. And where Russia is in collaboration with Iran is key to whether we're going to have any hope of successful negotiations in curbing its nuclear program. Saudi Arabia had been very, very concerned about whether Iran and others could use oil money to be able to increase its own influence in the region in destabilizing ways to the Saudi interests. So the change in prices has had some geostrategic impact, very, very important, but I think it increases the questions of domestic stability and whether there's any kind of political reform bringing about a more modern and normal polity in Saudi Arabia.